All right. Hi, Sarah, my friend. Thank you so much for being here and agreeing to be featured by CTS. We're so happy to hear from you and hear what you have to say. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Dr. Schlaff. I am an intimacy coach and pelvic floor physical therapist here at Comprehensive Therapy Services. And today we are featuring the amazing Sarah Lawley. So will you please tell the lovely viewers who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So yeah, my name is Sarah Lawley. I'm a nutritional, well, I'll give you the full mouthful. I'm a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. But I usually just tell people that I'm a functional or holistic nutritionist because nobody knows what the heck that acronym means. But basically, I help people improve their health, whatever it is, whether it's gut health, low energy, hormone health, pain, mood, a variety of different things. I help them improve their health naturally through dietary and lifestyle changes. So that's kind of my whole thing. I found nutritional therapy when my health was at an all-time low, and it was really the only thing that dramatically changed my health. So I've been helping people do that ever since.
That's awesome. And I think that nutrition is such an important thing because it's kind of this like constant stream of something that we could do every single day, multiple times a day to either support our healing or impact our healing detrimentally. So to be able to have someone to guide you through this journey and say, this is what it feels like to feel nourished in your body. This is what your body feels like when it is liking what you're putting in it. These are the things to maybe consider avoiding is so powerful. So I'm super excited to dive into today.
Yeah.
So I know that something that we've talked about a lot in the past is gut health, hormone health, and how these things are impacted by your nutrition. So I'd love to hear kind of your Cliff Notes version of what you usually tell your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I always start off by telling my clients, because a lot of them come to me and they're like, okay, I've been feeling in this way for a while now and I can't understand why. And this is just, it's been going on and I've tried all these different supplements and I've tried modifying my diet. But I always start off by telling people we can't get well in the same environment that got us sick. And we might think that we're doing kind of all the right things, but the right things look different for different people. Everybody's so individualized and everybody needs kind of a different approach. Everybody isn't going to go, really, really well with the same diet or the same supplements. So I always like to kind of do a clean slate and start off with just helping them to kind of take a look at their diet and what they've been eating. And I really never want to like shame people for eating certain foods. I don't believe in like good foods or bad foods or anything like that. I just think that certain foods nourish your body in a way that other foods might not. And all foods are okay in moderation. But I think that sometimes, especially if you've had chronic ongoing health issues, there's going to be certain foods that just might not be nourishing your body right now. And they might not be serving your body right now. So sometimes we temporarily remove those foods to help your body calm down the inflammation. A lot of foods that we have been told are kind of healthy can actually lead to a lot of inflammation and a lot of digestive and hormonal problems. So the one that I tell clients that they're always so shocked by is vegetable oil. So like canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, like all those oils that are just snuck into almost every single packaged food are actually very inflammatory when they're heated. And so that can really, really wreak havoc on your hormones. It can cause a lot of pain in the body, a lot of inflammation. So that's kind of where I start, is just how can we simplify things and how can we transition you from some, bless you. Bless you. So how can we transition you from some easy swaps, right? It's like we can swap out the canola oil for like avocado oil or something else, it still tastes good. So I like to really, really start by educating my clients a lot of, just things that we've been taught that aren't necessarily true in the health and wellness industry. And it can just make such a dramatic impact. And working on the gut health is really where I always start with everyone, because the gut health is so largely tied to hormonal health. And a lot of people don't know that. So I have some clients come to me with hormonal issues and they say, I have really heavy periods, or I am missing my period, or there's like something going on hormonally. And we'll start with the gut healing. and that will fix the hormonal stuff. We won't even do hormone testing, or we won't even need to do that because it's so interrelated. So I don't even remember what your question was. I kind of just started going on like a tangent.
No, you did it perfectly. So, we were talking about gut health and hormone health and what you usually say to your clients, and you answered that. So I love that you're talking about gut and how it's impacting, things, because as pelvic floor physical therapists, we're constantly talking about, your pelvis has your bladder, your uterus, and your rectum, and your large intestines feed the rectum, and so your digestion can really impact your bladder health as well as your pelvic health, and systemically can impact your hormones. So I think people forget, or are think, okay, if I'm like having a bowel movement every 3 days, whatever, like people poop when they poop, right? And it's like, no, you really need to be having regular, daily, if not more than daily, bowel movements that are easy, that you're not pushing. And I think that nutrition is one of the biggest things that we can talk about to positively impact that, as well as adding water. So,
Yes.
can you kind of break down, like, what are the top like 3 things that you see that you're like, these are the things that I usually go to first to help heal the gut?
Mhm. Absolutely. So first thing is kind of like I mentioned before, is taking a look at the diet and seeing like, okay, what can we remove that's likely irritating the gut and causing inflammation, and replacing that with some more nutrient dense foods. Another one is I don't do like macro counting or anything like that. I think that works for some people, but for my clients, I really find it to be a little more stressful. So I'm like, okay, let's just focus on the types of foods we're eating, not so much the amounts. However, I do really like to educate them on the importance of having enough dietary protein and fats, because that's really, really helpful in the overall energy during the day, blood sugar balance, gut health. And we've been taught, unfortunately, this is more from the older days, older generations, but we were taught that low fat is just so good for you. And, you should really be limiting your fat intake. And that is like the farthest thing from the truth. So I really do some debunking around those myths that I like to teach them, especially for hormone health. Fat is the precursor for sex hormones. So if we're not getting enough fat in our diet, our hormones are not going to be balanced.
Right.
It can also have a huge thing to do with digestion. You mentioned like constipation. If you're not eating enough fat helps to lubricate things, and it helps to keep things moving. So that's super important. And then the third one is really just slowing down when we eat, because we are such a fast go society. A lot of people eat in their cars, they eat standing up, they eat as quickly as they can in between calls. And that can really, really wreak havoc on the gut and the digestion. So I teach my clients before every meal to take 5 deep breaths and chew every single meal or every single bite until liquefied, which sounds like a pain in the butt, but it becomes way easier once you get used to it. And, limit distractions as much as you can, because your body can't properly digest if it's not in a relaxed state. So that food is going to kind of just sit there if you're stressed out all the time, and it's really going to impact things. So those are kind of my first 3 basics that I like to do with every single client.
Yeah, I love that. I think those are such valuable reflections, because I always say, like, your stomach doesn't have teeth. And a lot of the time we're having like chronic acid reflux, and we're like, why do we have all this acid coming back up? It's like your stomach is having to overproduce so much acid to break down food that hasn't been chewed properly. And honestly, just chewing and having a relaxed eating environment can change so much, like the whole process throughout your body.
Absolutely.
So I'm so glad you mentioned fat and kind of debunking the low fat myth. And I would love to hear, I selfishly would love to hear this for myself, because I have a sensitivity to avocado and coconut, which is so upsetting to me. I know. So what are your favorite other sources of fat?
Absolutely. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's so hard. I eat those things every single day. That's such a bummer, but there's definitely other things. There's for sure other alternatives. If your body does well with dairy, some really high quality, not everybody does, some people, I have a lot of clients that come to me and we need to do some gut healing first, and then they do okay with dairy, but like high quality, organic, grass-fed butter could be good. even some like different types of yogurt, even goat dairy is an easier alternative. I like fattier meats. I always tell my clients, if you're able to afford it, like grass-fed, pasture-raised ground beef is really good. Fattier salmon can be a great source of fat. I also like to cook with animal fats. So I'll cook with like organic pastured pork fat. I'll cook with duck fat, the grass-fed butter. Those are kind of some of my favorites. And then I also really like nut butters, the almond butter, sunflower seed butter. Those are like my go-tos.
That's awesome. And I think that that's something that we forget about, having healthy fat at every meal. And do you have like a cheat sheet? If somebody was just like looking at their plate, do you have kind of like a ratio of what you usually tell your clients, like this ratio should be fat, this ratio should be healthy protein, and this should be greens or veggies?
100%. Yeah. Every client that I work with, I actually give them a little plate that I created on Canva. It's like a thing so they can actually see it, because it's so much easier to see. So I always, and of course, everyone's dietary recommendations are different, but I always start with a general template of like fill half your plate with like non-starchy vegetables, so like broccoli, asparagus, cauliflower, anything along those lines. Have a adequate serving of protein. I would say 4 to 6 ounces of animal protein, and then a fourth of the plate like a starch. So like a sweet potato, if you do okay with grains, maybe some quinoa. And then with the fat, I say at least like 2 to 3 tablespoons. If you're doing a fattier cut of meat, then it's already there. You don't really need to add. But if you're doing like chicken breast or something, then adding some, a good portion of avocado or something else that you're not sensitive to.
I know, I'm so sad. Like I've done a lot of gut healing and elimination diet and autoimmune paleo, and it's like, everything is coconut based when you're kind of in this like elimination diet world and gut healing world. And I'm like, no.
I know. So hard. It is. That's really hard.
Yeah. But you know what? That's why it's a great example of how not everybody is the same, right?
Absolutely.
We can't just make sweeping generalizations of everyone should eat this much coconut butter every day, or, this much coconut oil, or, an avocado a day. We can't say that across the board. We have to say, this is what your individual body wants. And that's why practitioners like you, Sarah, are so powerful, because you walk with people hand in hand with them on their journey, and you help them discover, the unique blueprint of their own bodies. So I'm so grateful that people like you exist. So if someone's watching this and wanting to learn more about working with you, or what even working with you looks like, what would you tell them?
Yeah. So working with me, I always start with 3 months, kind of right off the bat, because I like to tell clients that a lot of the stuff we're doing is really, it's deeper work. I'm not going to just meet with you and give you a supplement and say, okay, that's it. It's very much kind of root cause. Like, let's figure out where the symptoms are coming from. Why are you even having these symptoms? I do very, very detailed assessments at the beginning so we can understand. And then I like to really educate them and explain to them, these certain things in your lifestyle have contributed to this, and that's okay. That this is how we can modify them. It's never too late to kind of fix this stuff. So lots of assessments, education on it. I put together a very, very customized plan. So I'll give them like dietary recommendations for hydration, movement, stress management. I'm really big on the mind body piece, because that part just can't be ignored when you're going through a healing process like this. It's so important to be managing your stress and, looking at the beliefs that you have every day about your body's ability to heal. And then if appropriate, I'll give some supplement recommendations. And we basically, throughout the 3 months, we're just constantly in contact, checking in, tweaking the plan if needed. And for many of my clients, 3 months is like the perfect amount of time, because it's enough time for the body to really, really shift, and for them to be able to incorporate all of these things so well that once we're no longer working together, they can just take the tools with them. Some people, they can keep working with me for longer if they want to, or if there's more like kind of long-standing issues, but that's always where I start with, this kind of the 3 months.
That's awesome. And how can people get in touch with you? Like, do you like Instagram? Do you like email? What's your favorite?
Yeah, I like them all. Yeah, my Instagram is nourish.and.heal. And then the email, super easy. It's just Sarah@nourishandheal.com. So yeah, any of those, I'm just kind of always available to check those.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your information today, Sarah. It was so valuable. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this.
Mhm.
And I'm so grateful that you spent your afternoon with me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much for having me.
All right.